Hello and welcome. You're watching CNN News 18 with me, Grihato Siddiqui. Let's get straight to the big story that we are tracking at the top of 5, and this is to do with CBI coming on, knocking on the doors of the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister, Manish Sisodia. So a day after that happened, in fact, Manish Sisodia presided over a press conference and took on the charges of corruption that are now withdrawn in the Delhi liquor policy. Sisodia, in fact, launched a scathing attack on BJP-led central government, saying that BJP is not worried about the excise fraud, but it is, in fact, about the Chief Minister of Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal, who they see as a challenger to Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the 2024 general elections. Addressing a press conference, Sisodia said that he hasn't done any corruption. He further added that he might be arrested within the next 2 to 3 days. He is, remember, on the top of a list of 15 accused who are named in CBI's FIR on liquor policy violations. In fact, the offences listed in the 11-page document are corruption, criminal conspiracy and falsification of accounts. Meanwhile, in another development, the Aam Aadmi Party supremo, Arvind Kejriwal, has now said that he, along with Manish Sisodia, will be visiting Gujarat on Monday and publicize the Delhi governance model in the state of Gujarat.
मेरी गलती ये थोड़ी ना है, वो भी जानते हैं कि कोई भ्रष्टाचार नहीं हुआ। इनको पता है कि कोई भ्रष्टाचार नहीं हुआ, इसीलिए उलझुल बके जाते हैं। इनको मैंने भ्रष्टाचार नहीं किया, मैंने सिर्फ इतना किया है कि अरविंद केजरीवाल जी का एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर हूं मैं, इसलिए ये कर रहे हैं, इसलिए ये साजिश रची जा रही है। 3-4 दिन के अंदर हो सकता है, आज कल परसों में कभी भी ये सीबीआई ईडी भेज के मुझे भी गिरफ्तार कर लेंगे, कई सारे और आप नेताओं को भी गिरफ्तार कर लेंगे। लेकिन मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि हम भगत सिंह के फॉलोअर हैं, हम अपने आप को भगत सिंह की संतान मानते हैं। हम डरने वाले नहीं है तुम्हारी सीबीआई से, तुम्हारी ईडी से, तुम्हारे पैसे के आगे बिकने वाले नहीं है। हमको नहीं तोड़ पाओगे तुम। सरकारें गिराने का 24 घंटे सपना देखते हैं, उसके अलावा मोदी जी को कोई सपना ही नहीं आता आजकल। मैं आज आपके सामने कहना चाहता हूं कि 2024 का चुनाव आम आदमी पार्टी वर्सेस भारतीय जनता पार्टी होने जा रहा है। अब तक लोग पूछते थे कि मोदी वर्सेस हु, अब पूरे देश में माहौल बन रहा है कि मोदी जी नहीं चाहिए, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को एक मौका देना है।
Accused number 1 of the liquor corruption is Mr. Manish Sisodia, but the kingpin of corruption is Arvind Kejriwal. Manish जी, आखिरकार अगर आपकी शराब नीति ठीक थी तो वापस क्यों ली? कि मनीष सिसोदिया जी बताएं कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनियों को रिटेल में ठेके की अगर अनुमति नहीं होती थी तो आपने क्यों दी? ये आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार, ये रेवड़ी की सरकार भी है, बेवड़ी सरकार भी है। क्योंकि जिस तरह से इनके एक वरिष्ठ नेता ने ये कहा कि हमें कोविड से लेना देना नहीं, भ्रष्टाचार के नए रिकॉर्ड बनाने अरविंद केजरीवाल जी, जो किंगपिन है भ्रष्टाचार के, और अक्यूज नंबर 1 मनीष सिसोदिया जी ने किया। और मनीष सिसोदिया ने अब अपने नाम के स्पेलिंग भी शायद चेंज कर लिए हैं। अब इनका अगला आ गया है MONEY, मनीष।
My colleagues are joining me on the broadcast for more on this. Rupashri joins me from outside Arvind Kejriwal's residence in the national capital. Also joining me is my colleague Nikhil, who is live with us from outside Manish Sisodia's residence in the national capital. Rupashri, I'll come to you first. It's press conference after press conference when it comes to the Aam Aadmi Party. First is with Saurav Bhardwaj. Now, Sanjay Singh has just presided over that press conference, going ahead for some kind of a rebuttal or the other when it comes to BJP's charges that have been levelled against the Aam Aadmi Party.
Well, yes, and this is exactly what has been happening since yesterday. You remember that the article that the BJP alleged was actually a paid article which was published in multiple newspapers, and to that also yesterday, beginning with Sanjay Singh and then Raghav Chadha and then Saurabh Bhardwaj, all of them tried to refute that charge, and they have tried to refute as many charges as possible over the past 2 days. But what is interesting to note is that the Aam Aadmi Party leaders are not actually getting into the nitty-gritties of the details which have emerged in the FIR filed by the CBI. They are not, ready or willing to confront about who, when, where, what, why, and whether there is any, truth to the charges that have been made or leveled in the FIR itself. Manish Sisodia himself, when he talked about that FIR in the press conference that he addressed, he actually rubbished the FIR. He said that it has nothing that is substantial in it, and he also said that it is so much based on what sources claim. But remember, we are talking about a very serious case over here, because the CBI has already registered an FIR, and because the CBI has not yet arrested Manish Sisodia, it is perhaps safe to say that CBI is only trying to bolster its case so that it can defend itself or justify itself when it arrests Manish Sisodia in a court of law, because finally that is where this case is heading towards. Now, Manish Sisodia, also remember, is not just an ordinary Aam Aadmi Party leader. He is also someone who has grown over the past, 1 decade. He commands a certain kind of respect within the party. He is also very likable. I mean, there are people who perhaps find Arvind Kejriwal extremely offensive, but they find Manish Sisodia to be somebody that they can interact with and have conversations with. So he also has an image and he commands a lot of goodwill amongst other political leaders also, apart from those within the party. And therefore, the CBI also will have to be very, very careful when they arrest Manish Sisodia, because they would have to have a watertight case. We are also getting to hear that in case the CBI so decides, this particular case may also be handed over to the ED. And then if it is handed over to the ED, and if Manish Sisodia is charged under PMLA Act, for violation of any provisions under the PMLA Act, then it will be very, very difficult for the Aam Aadmi Party or any of the lawyers to get a bail for Sisodia. So that is where things stand. Not a pretty sight at all for the Aam Aadmi Party. The Aam Aadmi Party and its government is essentially fighting back with its back to the wall, and it is trying to send out an image, send out a signal that it is fearless, that it is and it is combative, and it is not going to it is not going to go down without a fight. The strongest signal for that came when Arvind Kejriwal today himself tweeted saying that he and Sisodia will visit Gujarat on Monday and Tuesday
Yes.
over the next 1 week. We had heard that yesterday. I had broken the story that Kejriwal is set to visit Gujarat over the next 1 week. And remember, this is his sixth trip to Gujarat, and there is a reason why he's going to Gujarat, because he wants to make the point that the argument that has been put forth by all the Aam Aadmi Party leaders, that 2024 will be a battle between Arvind Kejriwal versus Narendra Modi, and if Aam Aadmi Party can push Congress down to number 3 in Gujarat also, or even manage to make the Gujarat elections a triangular one, then Arvind Kejriwal also will be looked at with some sort of a respect from within the other political leaders. So that is what the Aam Aadmi Party's chief has his eyes on. Meanwhile, Aam Aadmi Party is also very seriously looking at all the options that it has on the table, preparing
Oh,
itself for the
absolutely.
worst case scenario. Because in case Sisodia is arrested and goes into jail, then who is the person that that Arvind Kejriwal is going to rely on to handle the collective portfolios of both Sisodia and Satindra Jain? That
Right,
is also
Rupashi,
something
we
that
will
we have
also
to look
look at that point with my colleague Ananya, who's also now joined us on the broadcast. Meanwhile, I'll come to you, Nikhil, first.